Okay, today I'm going to talk about programming the TIDRADIO DP738 10-watt analog DMR radio. Today I'm only going into the DMR programming on it. The analog programming is pretty straightforward. If you've done very many repeaters, you probably won't have a problem with this. The only thing you need, other than the software, of course, is a programming cable. This one is a MIRKIT, M-I-R-K-I-T. I have several of these. Any radio that uses this type of Kenwood connector into the side will work if it works for you. I've had really good success with these, and I will put a Amazon affiliate link in the comments below to where you can get one of these if you don't have one. Everything else you need is in the software. The tricky part is finding the software, and I will put a link to that. I'll describe it in the video, but I'll also put a link to the software in the description. So that's enough of the nonsense here. Let's get programming. Okay, so as advertised, this video is about programming the TIDRADIO DP738. It's a 10-watt analog DMR radio. The software that I'm going to be demonstrating is the DP730UV version 1.05.0025. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's continue on. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to compile a list of the things you need to know here. The very first thing you need to know is your DMR ID. They come from radioid.net, https radioid.net. And once you've registered, they'll give you a number. That number is yours, and you're good to go from then on. This is my ID. Now, some people are worried, oh, you're putting your ID out on the internet. Guess what? It's available anyway. So the first thing is our radio DMR ID net code, our number, who we are. The next thing we got to figure out is what network, what DMR network do we want to connect to? We're connecting in this software demonstration to the TGIF network. Why? Because I like it, and it's my video. This is the link to the TGIF network, and again, all of these links will be in the comments below. TGIF network has a lot of call groups, talk groups. So you can see here we got DMR ID, what network we're going to connect to. Talk group number will be the next thing. You can get a list at this location for all of the talk groups in the TGIF network. We're going to program the parrot, which is 31,000. We're going to program the disconnect. I like having the disconnect programmed in there. If you read on TGIF network, they say, well, you really don't need to disconnect, but I prefer it. And we're going to do Oxcom USA. I am a member of Oxcom USA, and I connect in to their weekly net once a week. It's on Thursday night at 8 o'clock. So you need your talk group number. The next thing you're going to have is the DMR hotspot frequency. What frequency are you connecting your radio to? This is for hotspots. Repeaters will be a little bit different setup. For my hotspot, the one we're using right now is going to be 438.800 megahertz. Everything we're programming is going to be on time slot 2, color code 1, so you need your hotspot info. What else do you need? Well, you need a call sign. Call sign is assigned by the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, or the governing authority in the country that you came from, because these videos play outside of the U.S. If you don't have a call sign, a good place to start learning about ham radio is arrl.org. I am a life member, and my call sign is AF5DN. To the radio, make sure the radio is turned on, and then plug it into your computer's USB port. I don't know if you heard that, but it made a little doo-doo sound, meaning it was recognized. Now, a quick way to determine what COM port your radio or the cable just connected to. There's 100,000 different ways of doing it in Windows. Me, I just open a command prompt, type in mode, and it's going to show me there that I'm on COM 8. There's no need for me to go to the control panel and device manager and click on a bunch of junk. COM 8. Now, this software, when you first open it up, it comes up in a foreign language. I don't know what language that is, so I'm not going to try to tell you. But what you do is you go over here to view and click the second option down. There it is, English. It's the fourth setting from your right. Second option down converts it back to English. Now, the first thing you want to do is set your port. It kind of is intuitive in that it'll only show you available COM ports. If there were 2 or 3, you'd have to pick one, but in this case I only had one. It's COM 8. I picked that, and then I want to read from the radio. This is how you get the baseline of what is in your radio. Okay, so here I am. I've got a clean radio, and we're going to go through setting it up. Now, if you watch the PowerPoint that I just did, you've taken notes and you've got all the information you need to put together. So the first thing we're going to do here is go to the settings, and where it says call, it may have something else in there on your version. I'm going to put my call sign. Now, I ran into some really weird problems with this software. It works fine, but it's got some little quirky things. Now, you can set like the English language and the squelch level and maximum volume and mic gain and all that kind of good stuff. And you can play with these things a little bit and get it kind of tweaked the way you want it. But anytime you're in one of these menus and you make a change, don't automatically go click on another menu. You see how it says menu, but I didn't really save the setting. So let me go back to setting. It does say AF5DN, so I'm going to close that menu. So now that I've closed that menu, if I go back, it's going to say AF5DN. Now down here towards the bottom on this settings tab, once you get some channels programmed into it, you can set some default stuff. You might want a particular repeater to come on when you first turn the radio on, or a particular DMR channel. You can set that up here. But we can't do that right now because we don't have any channels set. So this is a DMR tutorial. So we have to go down here to the basic setting, and there's a radio ID number. I'm lazy, I'm going to cut and paste. This is your DMR ID number that you get from radio.net. I want to show you something that really kind of messed me up for a while. Is when I first opened this software up, this radio ID increase was checked. So I would put my proper number in there, and as soon as I wrote to the radio, it would increment it by up to a 6, and nothing worked. So that's a gotcha. Make sure that radio ID increase checkbox is not checked. Another gotcha for me, it took me a long time to figure this out, is down here under this digital monitor. Make sure this digital monitor is on. Now the symptoms I was having is I could transmit. My Pi Star would show that it received it. DMR, TGIF.net showed it transmitted back. I saw a reply back from the parrot, but I couldn't hear anything. So it took me a while to figure it out, but just make sure this digital monitor is set to on. Okay, so that's all you need to do on the basic settings. And again, I'm done here. I want to close that menu. And I've already closed that one. I'm going to close it again. And the next thing we have to do is we have to set up contacts. Now, the network is really not as important as finding out your contacts and your groups. So let me go down here to contact, and you see there's nothing there. So the first one I'm going to put in is my TGIF PAROOT. It is a call group, and its ID number is 31000. I'm going to set up all three of them that we went over in the PowerPoint. This one's going to be TGIF disconnect. And it's going to be a call group, and it's going to be 4000. Now, this is a personal preference. You don't have to put the TGIF stuff in there. I do that because I have two hotspots. One hotspot is connected up to the Brandmeister network, and the other is the TGIF network. So I can program one radio to connect to two different hotspots, and I put that in there just for my personal preference to keep everything straight. I'm going to add one more. This is going to be the Auxcom. Oop, I forgot my TGIF. TGIF Auxcom. I don't know if I can get USA in there. Nope, US. I'll just leave it at that. It is a call group, and it is 11911. So those are the three call groups I'm going to be setting up. Talk groups. So we'll close that down. Now we get into setting up the channels. So by default, there's a couple of channels in there already that just have basic information on them. So this is the information that it kind of comes up with by default. Oh, look at there. Okay, you can get it. I'm kind of cutting off the side over there a little bit. Let me see if I can scrunch this up. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so first thing you do is make sure this is set to digital. In here you put in the frequency of your transmitter, which is for me going to be 43.8. 43.8. Now there's no offset. This is not a repeater. This is just it's a simplex hotspot. So I can hit these double arrows, and it copies that 43800 over to 43800. This one I'm going to call again TGIF PARROT. My hotspot is local, so I'm going to go low power. It changed that. Let's go back to digital. There we go. 438.800, 438.800 low power. The rest of this stuff is pretty much standard. Your time slot is 2. Your color code is 1, and we've figured this stuff out already. And it's just going to show, it's going to automatically put the first one in there, which is the contact that we had over here is what we put over here. Receive group none, allow interrupt none, blah, blah, blah. All that other stuff's the same. Okay, here we're going to do, I'm going to close it. Now I'm going to open it back up, and down here at the bottom hit plus. See, it still says channel 1. So digital, I'm going to call this one TGIF DISCONNECT, disconnect, and I am 43.8. Copy that from this one over to this one. Set my power on low. The rest of this you don't have to mess with. Again, you want to put time slot 2, color code 1, and we figured all that out. See, here's where I said it's going to default the contact to the first one in the list, so we'll have to change that to disconnect, and I'm going to close. You might get away with not having to close it every time. I ran into issues with not doing that, so I'm going to close it just to be sure. And we'll come down here, hit plus again, put it back channel 1, digital. I'm going to call this TGIF AUXCOMMUS. Hey, let me put the full A in there. Again, my frequency 438.8. Copy that over. Power low, time slot 2, color 1, and TGIF. So you see how this goes. You're setting everything up the same frequency. You're changing the channel name and changing the talk group. All right, close. So let me just go through here and double check everything. I got low, 38800, digital, TGIF, slot 2, parrot. This will be, go to the next one. 38800, 38800, low, disconnect, slot 2, go to the next one. I'm just scanning through here to make sure I didn't miss something. 38800, 38800, Oxcom, USA Oxcom, everything looks good. Okay. So now we've got channels. We have to put the channels in a zone. And if you noticed up here, there's only one zone defined, but you can add many more. In one of my previous videos on this radio, I added all the weather channels to a zone. I added all my analog repeaters to a different zone, my DMR repeaters to a different zone, and my DMR hotspots in a different zone. So we're just going to open this up, and I'm going to call this TGIF. That's the name of this hotspot. And here you put these guys over in whatever order you want. I like, when I first turn the radio on, just to make sure I don't accidentally interfere with somebody, I like putting my disconnect first, and then I'll put the parrot, and then I'll put Oxcom. Again, I'm going to close it. So you now see it says TGIF. We'll go back in there. Everything is there. Okay, so now we've got the main things. We got our DMR ID. We have our network. We know what the network is. We know what the talk groups are. We've got the hotspot information. We've done channels. We've done a zone. And the only other thing that I like to do on this radio, and it's me because it just makes my life easier, is I go into these buttons and I pick zone up for both because I don't know how hard I'm pushing it or how long I'm pushing it, and zone down for the next. Zone down. All right, and close. You can leave these up here, this TK or this top button up here. So this is SK1, SK2. This is the TK. You can make it whatever you want. Close. Okay, so that's it. We're done with that. Now we're going to do the go back into programming and write to the radio. And when you click this, it comes on, it'll say writing. And that's going to take a couple minutes, so I'll probably pause and skip ahead. Alright, so when it's done, the radio will reboot and it'll say write frequency success. And now we have everything is kind of blank. So let's, it comes up as zone 1. I hit my up arrow, I got parrot, disconnect, skip down. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this, but here I've got 3. There's the Oxcom, there's the disconnect, there's the parrot, all 3 of them. So let's go get see if we've done this correct. TIDF network. Let's go. Okay, so now what I have here is the TGIF disconnect. That's just the first one, so that's what I came up with. I switch up here to the parrot. Watch this this one right here on this frequency. This will change. AF5DN, testing the parrot on TGIF network. And you see it switched to the parrot talk group.
AF5DN, testing the parrot on TGIF network.
A little slow there coming back. But okay, so let's go back to the disconnect, TGIF disconnect. We'll hit that. AF5DN, you see it automatically switches back to disconnect. So that's how you program the TID radio, the DMR TID radio for working with a DMR hotspot. Hope that was helpful to you, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe, leave us comments, and hit that notification bell. Thank you for watching.